But is it or is it not a fact that you were my very first stalker back in the 90s? Krystle Ratticus is one of my oldest, longest, dearest friends. I've known her a very long time. She's also one of my favorite zine authors. She's written zines such as Jerk Flux, Bleach, Milk Milk Lemonade, Weirdo de Jour, more recently Henri Cuss and Cathode Ray Mission. Grew up in Iowa, lived in Chicago, has moved around a little bit. Her older stuff is all punk rock, 90s, black and white, cut and paste stories about, hitchhiking and drinking and partying. Her newer stuff is kind of more long form storytelling. If you haven't read her zines, you really need to pick up a couple of them. They're really, really excellent. It's my honor and privilege to have her on episode 1 of the Behind the Zines podcast. Hello, Krystle. How are you?
Hi, Billy. I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm really excited to talk with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
When I first told you about my idea for this new kind of podcast format that I'm trying to do, um, you told me that you did a podcast with someone else recently, which was an audio podcast, and you sent me the link. That was the Who You Know podcast. And at first I was worried. I was like, oh man, someone already had my idea to interview Krystle. But it turned out it was kind of like nice because they kind of like laid out some of the groundwork and did some of the research for me, and I kind of like got filled in on some of your writing history. Because what I want to kind of talk about today is all of your zines and your zine career, and
Great.
all the different many zines that you've written over the years. Because you've done a bunch. You've done a bunch of zines.
Yeah, I have. Pulling out all of the copies in my masters. I'm like, wow, there's a lot. There's too much.
Yeah. And we'll go through some of that and we'll get to some of that and we'll go kind of, we don't need to go a deep dive into every single issue, but we'll go through everything. But I do want to start with one thing in particular. I feel like this topic has been avoided. It didn't come up in your podcast. The internet has been hounding that the public wants to know the truth behind this story. But is it or is it not a fact that you were my very first stalker back in the 90s?
Wow, I remember sitting on the curb of our hometown street, and you were maybe in sixth grade playing drum in the elementary school marching band. And I grabbed my mom's arm and said, "That's Billy. That's Aaron's brother." So
Oh,
yes.
yeah, it's funny because I know you and respect you as a zinester, but we actually went to the same high school, grew up in the same small
Oh,
town, Southern Iowa. So I've actually known you. Like I always say how I started writing zines before I even knew what a zine was, and I think the same is true for you.
yep.
But you and I both started doing zines before we knew what zines were, but also we knew each other before we knew what zines were.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we were like friends
Uh,
back in small town Iowa.
well, weird kids will find the weird kids in farm towns, so
Yeah, that's exactly right. In the other podcast, you talked about how when you were a little kid, grade school, you did a lot of drawing. You kind of started out drawing before you were
yep,
storytelling, which kind of makes sense. But even in grade school, you were drawing little comic strips, giving them to your friends and
yes.
classmates, right?
Yes, yes, I was, and it wasn't always appreciated by a lot of my classmates either.
But you did it anyway.
Well, yeah, it was like the junk mail equivalent of fourth grade lockers. I'm taping up little comic book strips and stuff in their lockers and their desks, and they, what is this shit? And would ball it up and throw it away, but kept doing it.
Yeah. And once computers came to our little school, you were using computers to start writing stories.
Yes, yeah, quite a bit. Just endless Word documents. And on days that you were well behaved, you got to print them out and take these like accordion uh, perforated sheets home, this long train of paper, and like show your parents,
Yeah.
look, I wrote this story. Yes, the dot matrix.
I remember that. I remember it. We refer to those as the good old days. Those were the good old days of shitty printers. Um, I have like I have like stacks and stacks of your. I have bleach and
Oh,
milk
wow.
lemonade. I was sad to see, like when I went through my personal collection, that I don't actually own every single thing you've ever made because I definitely had some copies of stuff that I don't have anymore, and I have like some missing issues. I don't have issue one of Bleach and stuff like that. Um, but one thing in the other podcast that you did that you never brought up, I'd like to start off by talking about jerk flux. Can you tell me
Oh
what jerk
my.
flux was?
Jerk Flux was I sort of started out in study hall drawing caricatures of some of my classmates, whether I liked them or not. And then I stylized them to be like these skater looking people because skate culture was really cool and like the closest to punk that I understood at the time. And Jerk Flux, I think the name partially came from the cartoon Aeon Flux in the 90s, and I don't know, just throw jerk on there. But it was a comic strip, and then it just became a zine once you had like introduced me to zines. I'm like, well, that's going to be the title of my zine. And I actually have
Oh,
one.
I'm so happy. Hold that up close. Is that the master copy?
That is the master copy. I don't know if this even got like distributed. I don't think it did.
Yeah. I don't have any copies of Jerk Flux, which makes me really sad because at some point I did have. How many issues of Jerk Flux did you do?
I think like three total because I've got this one.
Yes, I
I
used to
did get
have
a few
that one.
copies. And then there's this like really terrible like third but second one that's just filled with song lyrics. There's nothing in it.
This is like in high school, right? You're like 16, 17,
Yeah.
18.
Yeah, I think 17, I would say at this point.
Um, and what was the reaction? Did people like that? Did your classmates like it? Did your friends enjoy it
My
or understand?
friends thought it was cool. Some students who were not my friends, like some of them are like, "Oh wow, that's so creative. Yeah, you're such a great artist." And then the rest of them were like, "What is this?" And
Yeah.
file 13.
Yeah, that's what happens. Would you say that was like the first like zine, even though you had made stuff before, is that the first thing that you would consider a zine that you had made?
Well, I think then I found this, which is a master copy. It just says Krystle is still my name, and I think I actually mailed this to you,
Yeah,
and it's just so convoluted, and doesn't really make a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't think this ever got copied or distributed either. This might be like the very first zine I ever did. Um, it's actually sort of more of a scrapbook. There's like drawings, but
yeah,
I've got like a lot of
yeah.
yeah, ads for magazines cut out and put in it. So that's like the very first zine, and then Jerk Flux was like, all right, I think I know what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So that was my first title that I put out.
Yeah, I have a couple different tangents I want to go off on.
All right, let's go.
You mentioned that one issue is song lyrics.
Yes,
Music plays a pretty big role in your life. Is that fair to
yes,
say?
yes, very much so.
It also plays a big role in your zines. A lot of your zines, because I literally read like all of your zines in the past week, and like a lot of them have song references, talking about different bands, maybe a little inside joke about such and such band. Your more recent Ornery Cuss, you talk about the time you met Mojo Nixon. Um,
Yeah.
what is it about your connection to music that makes you want to put music into your writing also?
Some of the first personal zines that I've ever read, it seemed like the stereotypical zine subject to put a story about a concert you went to, or a mixtape you made for somebody, or a mix CD you made for somebody. So, like with Henri Cuss, I wanted to revisit some of the more stereotypical stories that you would put in a personal zine. So, like, I had to throw in that story about meeting Mojo Nixon. Um, but I need a soundtrack for everything I do. I have been making mixtapes for as far back as I can remember. I'm still making mixtapes. I got a tape recorder and I've been making quite a few tapes and trading them with my sweetheart in the last few months. And, fate's hand is kind of cruel sometimes. You're having a bad time and it'll put $1 in the jukebox and it'll play the worst song at the worst moment, but it's like so sad and almost beautiful at the same time. There's whatever I'm doing, there's a song playing in my head. And I always like when I'm journaling or taking notes about my surroundings and making observations, I gotta like, well, so this song is kind of fitting for this moment. And then later it'll go into a mixtape or a mix CD or a playlist. It's never ending.
Yeah, yeah, I'm like that a lot too, and it's interesting as you get older, as a person gets older. I'm in my 40s. I won't say how old you are, but right around there, close to.
Also, same, also in 40s.
I'm 4 years older than you, so going way back when I was a senior, you were a freshman, I think, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, like certain songs that I used to not like, now I love them, or maybe each time I hear it, like the longer you go, you form new memories. Like, oh, that was a song that I
Yeah,
first hung out with so and so, and then every time you
yes.
hear it, you add new memories to it.
Yeah, one specific memory I have right now that involves you is we were all in the bridge house one time spray painting the walls and you were just kind of hanging off the pipes and stuff singing the Dead Milkman song, The Bleach Boys, and every time I hear that song, I think of you and being in the bridge house.
Wow, that's funny. I definitely love the Dead Milkman, and I remember Bridge House. I don't remember that specific thing, so that's really funny. Along with music, other pop culture things make it into your zines a lot. Bleach number two with the Rocky Horror
Oh
cover.
yeah.
You have a lot of references to movies and a lot of influence, like horror movies, and
Yes.
also campy stuff. Pee Wee Herman and John Waters, and just lots of different like cool pop culture stuff makes it into your zines. Um, I guess maybe that's, I don't really know if I have a question about that, but it is kind of interesting because uh, I don't know. It feels like you love these things and you're trying to share it with the rest of the world too.
Absolutely. And Pee Wee Herman and John Waters and Mojo Nixon, they're like my holy trinity of inspiring my sense of humor. I'm still referencing movies, specifically horror movies, in my writing. I I like to be scared, so I'll be on vacation and I'll be like, so this is the part where we're all gonna get it in the stabbing cabin. Like, oh, this is a good place for the monster to hide the bodies. Like everything is a horror movie in my mind, and
Yeah.
some stuff that I'm working on now, I'm like referencing the movie The Vanishing with Jeff Bridges because it's just sort of a joke to go along with this particular scene I'm describing.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and you put out 3 issues of a zine called Cathode Ray Mission, and we'll get to that a little later. But
Yeah,
that's all about horror movies. But you said something about humor, like Pee Wee Herman and John Waters and Mojo Nixon. Like Mojo Nixon is, it's fun drinking songs and it's nothing too serious. And um, a lot of your zines talk about a lot of really serious things. They talk about growing up in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. Some of them talk about abuse, they talk about hard living, and you kind of have like that working class sense of humor that gets you through it. At least that's what comes through in the zines. And I also grew up in, small town Iowa, and I also grew up working class. And I don't know, like a lot of your zines, like all your different issues of Bleach and you're talking about some serious things, but then you kind of, fuck it, what can you do? And you find a way to laugh your way through it.
Well, you know, if you're not laughing, you're crying. And now, like in my 40s, I do both. I laugh and I fucking cry sometimes at the same time. Uh, I don't know, like what is the meaning of life? There is no meaning. There's no purpose. That's like the great cosmic joke. You know, if there was a purpose to all of this pain and suffering that people go through, then life would be a lot less interesting. So I'm laughing at everything that life throws at me. I didn't have the best family life. I did not have a great time in school. I was not good at being a kid because I was forced to grow up real fast and then like have massively regressed as I get older too. But I don't know, I got this sort of this absurd dark sense of humor and I got a lot of darkness to work through, so let's have a chuckle about it, you know?
Do you think you got that sense of humor from any particular person in your life, or is that just what you picked up from television and movies and comic books?
Television, movies, and comic books. I was a mirror, so uh, television was my greatest teacher. It was my window to the world living in a small town. There wasn't a whole lot of culture available outside of, well, you lived it, you know, pre-internet, there wasn't a whole lot. You went to the
Yeah,
library or watched TV and limited resources.
I want to read something out of Bleach number 7.
Okay.
It's interesting to read all your stuff because a lot of it, um, you lived in Iowa, you lived in Chicago, you lived with me for a while. We know a lot of the same people. So I read your zines, I have a real personal connection to it. But I
Yeah.
think even if I didn't have that personal connection, I think they're really good zines anyway. But it's hard to have like an unbiased opinion of it because like I'm like, oh yeah, that person, oh yeah, that thing. But a lot of it I just relate to, and I think if anyone had written this, I would have related to it. And I think a lot of people uh, relate to it. But there's this thing in Bleach number 7. If you don't mind a moment, I'm going to read this.
Please.
When I was 12, I dreamed of living in a large city alone in an apartment with my cat and publishing my own comic book. I pictured lonely, somber days that were rainy with me having green hair and dirty socks curled up in my cold room by the window drinking coffee. I wanted to be nothing somewhere, rather than nothing nowhere. That was my goal in life. Get out of that small town and draw. And here I am now in Chicago, walking the streets alone. I'm turning into a hopeless romantic. Booze, cigarettes, coffee, late nights, broken hearts, sad accordion music. Like some sort of cheesy French film where the strip of celluloid jumps off the track. People that write zines are passionate about something, or political. They have something to say about life. A lesson to learn through the tragedies that they have succumbed to in their time on this planet. I have things to say, but it's all endless. It's nothing new to me or you. Whoever you may be that reads this now, life sucks. That's all I can tell you. That's the gist of my message. I have nothing really to share here on this piece of paper that makes up a page in my zine. I'm just sad.
Wow, I was 19 when I wrote that. Not much has changed. I'm I'm living in the city, I'm walking the streets, I'm making my own zines, so like I'm living that dream, man.
It's interesting. I also, and real quick, anyone that's living in a small town, you grew up in a small town, you still live there. If you're enjoying it, good for you. I got nothing but love for all the people I went to high school with that still live in the same small town. For me, I couldn't fucking get out of there quick enough. Like as soon as I could fucking hit the road, I was gone.
Hard
And
same. Yeah.
yeah, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, but I needed to see things. I needed to see the world, and I knew it was gonna be hard and a lot. I had a lot of hard days, and you did too, you know.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it's easy and safe to stay home, but for me, I wanted to get out of there, and so. I really related to that of just trying to escape. And maybe if you grew up in the city, all you want to do is get to the country. I don't know. Maybe part of that is just
Yeah.
wanting to get somewhere new. Um, but I really like even at a young age. I don't know. You knew you were gonna have tough times, but you wanted it. You wanted to live alone in the city and just I don't know. There's something romantic about those hard times, and I think we romanticize drinking too much and too many cigarettes and too much coffee, but you're poor and that's all you got, right?
I mean, those hard times, they always look better in the rearview mirror too. It's much easier to romanticize them. If you can live through it, like pat yourself on the back. There's so many people who can't, who find a way out and break a lot of hearts by taking that out. And I've thought about it many, many times, and in the small town, like I was definitely working my way towards it real fast. Uh, but I got out, and whatever shit I'm going through now, I'll get through it. I'm a fucking city rat, man. I survive. You can't exterminate me.
And then along the way, you'll write a story about it.
Absolutely. Why the hell not? I mean, so many people in this world take and take, so you got to make something. Do something with your time. Give the world some art. Here you go. You like it, you don't like it, doesn't matter. I made it. I gave
Just like when you're in grade school, I don't care if you like my comic strip, here it is.
it. That's right.
There's something magical about being an artist, and specifically a zinester, because no matter how bad things get, it only like the worse it gets, the better the zine. So,
Yes.
am I right?
So fucking true. I've gone through some shitty things, and I'm like, man, at least I'm gonna get a good zine story out of this.
Right. And I don't think anyone wants them to. I don't want things to go bad, but I've definitely had times where something is going bad. I'm like, dude, this is such a good story. I can't believe how fucking terrible my day is.
Yes, it's sort of like the camping equation. And like, no offense to anyone who likes to go camping, but like, you go camping, it's hot, it's raining, there's bugs, you forget stuff. You're pooping in the woods. It sucks. The best part about camping is when it's over and you get to talk about how much it sucked. That's the best part of it.
That's awesome. I love camping, by the way. But I know what you mean. Like when you get that first shower after you've gotten back from camping, you're like, oh, it's so nice.
Yes.
While I was going through your stuff, I found this.
Yeah, so that's a deep cut.
Tell me about this.
That was my last attempt to get my little sister to read comic books. I drew one. It's like an Alice in Wonderland sort of story, but it's like debaucherous. It's like sort of a December April romance in it. There's drugs involved in it. Um, the character design is based on a bright yellow dress that I found in an abandoned church that fit me perfectly. There are photographs of me wearing that dress. And I just thought, well, that's what I want this character to look like, this Alice in Wonderland character. I think her name is Lydia Caldwell, is the name of the character or something. Um, I only printed 50 of those because it was expensive as fuck to do a color cover back then.
Yeah.
Um, I was gonna do it too, never got around to it. I know I've got it scanned and should probably pop it up on my website so people can see it. But my sister not never got into comic books. She didn't care. It just wasn't her thing.
You tried.
I did. I tried.
Um, you've done some fiction and some nonfiction, and I know in the other podcast you said that you started out when you were young, you would write fiction and X-Men style, Marvel style like stories. Um, and I'm sort of curious about in your mind, how much fiction gets into your nonfiction and how much nonfiction gets into your fiction. Like sometimes it can kind of blur, don't you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. So who am I to let the truth get in the way of a good story? I mean, a little bit of fiction's going to get in there to polish out the edges of some of my nonfiction true from life stories, and everything that I make up, like it's based in reality. Like something happened somewhere, a story I heard from somebody. Like this is where that's the skeleton of my fiction.
Yeah. Um, so you did Bleach for a while. Sometimes it's some simple stories. Some of it's a little bit more serious. One of your big issues was issue number 5, the straight edge, not for me.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
You that was kind of like your first big hit where everyone wanted to read it. It's a lot of drug use. It's a lot of
Yeah.
stories that are sometimes exciting, but also a lot of really sad stories and tough stories. It seems like throughout your life and throughout your zines, like substances uh, are ever present. You know, drugs and alcohol and cigarettes and coffee, and um, it's interesting because I don't know, like it's hard to walk that line sometimes of you're documenting your own life. You don't really want to glamorize it necessarily, but you don't want to deny the truth of it. How do you approach talking about substances, you using drugs, using alcohol?
It kind of depends on the company. Like if I'm with people who've experimented and stuff, then like it's so easy to talk about like what I've done. People who have never, they clutch their fucking pearls like, oh my God, you did what at what age? And I mean, it's just part of my history. I come from a long line of alcoholics and chain smokers, and yeah, I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, and I'm not an alcoholic, but I was taught pretty young and growing up in a rural community, like wasteoid is the way. Like you pop the pills to help you sleep, you drink the coffee to help you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you drink, indulge in marijuana or whatever the fuck else. And there's a lot of amphetamines in rural America too. Um, mushrooms, God only knows. Whatever's coming through, you suddenly you want to try everything, and especially when you're a miserable ass teenager and you know that you don't belong in this small town. You're just desperate to unlock something that's hidden from you, like some forbidden knowledge, make that Faustian bargain, or just desperately escape reality. That's always been a huge thing for me. Like I don't want to be in this sobriety reality. This fucking sucks. So I was a wasteoid for many years. Not so much anymore. I enjoy a beverage, but it's all part of me, so it's got to go in the story. And some people really dig it, and a lot of people don't dig it. But whatevsky, I got to tell my story.
I'm sure there's lots of experiences that you are happy about and proud of, and also lots of ones that you regret and like, oh, like I went too hard that one night.
Yeah, put myself in some situations that were very unsafe, and there could have been a better turnout, but there wasn't. But whatever, it happened to me. So like document that, learn it as a take it down as a learning experience and try and do better next time. Be better aware of your surroundings and what you can take and what you can't take, and watch who the fuck you're with too, because not everybody is who they say they are.
You do a really good job in all of your writing, I think, of having that, what you just said, like life experience attitude of even when you take a hard lump, you chalk it up to life experience. I don't know how you do that. It's really impressive.
No, all my mistakes are self-created. All my problems are mostly all my problems are self-created. So just do better next time. Better luck next time, kiddo.
Yeah, you do a great job of talking about some sad things, but I don't ever feel sad at the end of reading your zines or reading your stories. I feel nervous for you while I'm reading them, and I'm like, I can't believe you got in the car with that person, or I can't believe you did that. But somehow at the end of the story, it's like, oh, well, that's how life goes.
Well, writing this shit too, like drawing from memory, it's so fucking exhausting. But when I'm doing it, like I'll look at the words on the page and I'm like, oh, you fucking idiot. It's all hindsight, like, oh, what was I thinking? Like you could hear the Unsolved Mysteries theme playing in the background. You're about to be
Yeah,
a cold case file.
there's
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
things you've been through that could have gone a different way.
yeah, I could have been an episode on Unsolved Mysteries. Wasn't though.
Yeah. You did 7 issues of Bleach. And then you got in issue 7, you say that you're not really enjoying it anymore. You're going to quit doing it. This will be the last issue of this. And not too long after, you start a new zine called Milk Milk Lemonade.
Yeah, I felt
Um,
like that was a personality change.
Explain the difference to me between having changing a zine title and changing
Um,
a slant or a persona.
Bleach, it's not a Nirvana reference. I bleached my hair a lot in high school. Make that nice canvas to do all the weird haircuts and colors and patterns. And so that's what I mean, starting Bleach in high school, that's what I decided would be a perfect title, very chemically. And I had been in Chicago maybe a year at this point, and I'm like, man, it's a little too serious, and I feel like I've outgrown Bleach, so I want to do something a little more lighthearted and funny and stream of consciousness. And so the title Milk Milk Lemonade came from like one of my favorite Pee Wee Herman jokes. It's Milk Milk Lemonade, around the corner fudge is made.
Yes.
I made
Classic.
t-shirts with like milk cartons over the boobs and like a lemon pointing down, and then Milk Milk Lemonade on the back. Like I had a lot of fun with Milk Milk Lemonade. And God, how many fucking
I
I did
got
like
13, I think.
I got 14 total here.
14. Okay.
Well, up to 14. I am missing some shit too. Um,
Do you have the master
yeah,
for
the
number one? Can we see the cover of issue number one?
yes.
I don't have issue number one. I don't think I ever, that doesn't look familiar. I never had that one.
I was working at American Science and Surplus when I wrote this, and it was all done on a typewriter. So
Nice.
like all the mistakes are there, and it was just I had no plan going into writing this. It was just whatever came into my head, like it plunked out on the that keyboard. A lot of influence from a roommate a woman I was living with at the time too, who was a bit older than me and had a lot of the same interests, sort of goth, sort of hippie. She was great. She was beautiful. She was an incredible artist, and she had a very positive impact on my life for a period of time. So
You,
I attribute her to those first couple of issues.
you've done a good job of surrounding yourself with creative people, I think, and absorbing what you can from them.
Yeah, yeah. The friendships don't always last, but I never forget the good times.
Yeah. I'm curious about you write a lot of like real life day-to-day events kind of stuff. Um, what kind of impact does your living situation have on your writing? Whether it's who you're dating, where you're working, who you're living with. Because for you in particular, it seems like it has a big impact.
Well, yeah, the recorder is always going in my brain, so Um, I find joy and misery in even simple things. It doesn't have to be a big adventure. Like I could be doing domestic chores and miserable, or I could be with great company and just sitting in silence and enjoying coffee is really fucking romantic and special. Or like rolling cigarettes or listening to your roommate in the shower singing. Like just these simple things could be like a real pleasure at times.
Yeah. Um, you have there's different moments where you're talking in your zine and you're telling a story, and with some of your roommates in particular, and probably with me when we lived together for a while, there's this kind of interesting sense of magic because I can't remember which issue it was, but in one of these issues you kind of half tell a story and then you say, well, she told it better in her issue anyway. You can go read her issue if you want the full story. And I just love that. And I don't know if it's just I don't know if Chicago in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, if it was just an absolutely magical time and place, or if it was just because I was in my 20s and your 20s are magical. But I also often had the experience where I'd be hanging out with another artist or a zinester, and you both kind of knew like we're both going to write a zine about this later.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're the one that like siren called me to Chicago. So like you introduced me to all these amazing artists. Everyone did a fucking zine. Everybody was in a band. It was like this sort of renaissance of art. It was magical because I had never experienced anything like that. I had friends back in Iowa, but like maybe one of them played guitar. Like nobody was really an artist. They all just kind of lived regular lives and liked cool stuff. So to come to Chicago, yeah, like I think like the first time I met um someone who had been a pen pal who I knew through her zines, we got together to go to Rocky Horror and like instantly I knew opening the door to the apartment, like we're gonna write a zine about this. The first time we
Yeah,
both go to Rocky Horror together.
yeah. Yeah, it's I miss those days, and it was always exciting, and it was exciting to hang out with a zinester because they might write about you, and then you'd like for me, I
Yeah,
would be kind of disappointed if they didn't write about me, and I'd be kind of
a
excited if
little
they,
bit.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
And there was like this kind of like sometimes like pressure, like oh I should write a zine about this, or I should name drop so and so, or they'll be sad that I didn't mention them, and all these sorts of things. And I don't know, it was kind of I think when two zinesters hang out, there's an excitement about oh they might write about this later, but I always wonder for people who aren't zinesters, are they nervous that we might write about them? And
Uh,
I'm curious about you because you've written about a lot of people, people that I know that you use their real names. You're telling some
yeah.
intimate things. You've told some stuff about your family that's pretty serious, like some things that are not a fun, happy, we went to the movies, but like a serious. And I'm curious if you've ever had backlash of people that tell you that, oh, I wish you hadn't told that story. I wish you hadn't talked about me. I wish you hadn't printed a picture of me. Have you had issues with that?
Uh Not yet, but forthcoming. I have like preemptive concern. Like my dad is really fucking concerned about what I write.
Really?
And as he
Has he
should
read
be.
like your old stuff?
Nope, he's never read anything, but he's like getting real nervous. Like, what are you telling the world?
Yeah.
What fucking happened? Like, maybe you don't remember it. Maybe you want to deny shit happened, but like it happened and I'm putting it out there because you were that shitty guy. If you wanted me to write better, you should have behaved better. So
Wow.
that is what it is. I remember days of hanging out with someone and they tell you something personal about themselves, and you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I remember you wrote about that in your zine," or like you'd say something like, "Yeah, yeah, I read that in your zine or your book," and now I'm like, I'm kind of being written about now a little bit here and there, and like being drawn, and it's so fucking flattering, and I get nervous and a little embarrassed, but yeah, it's flattering. It's an ego boost for sure. And I hope other people feel that way. Like I cared enough to write about you, even if you were a dick. Like I wrote about you.
When I was younger, there was kind of this reckless, like, there's no such thing as bad press kind of attitude of like I don't know, there's just almost like no apologies. Like I'll just write whatever I want to write. You write whatever you want to write. If you don't like me, then you should write a zine about how you don't like me. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I'm a little bit different now. I try to be a little bit more careful and more respectful. And I think you also. I think just as we age, we you know, for example, in some of your earlier issues, you use your sister's actual name, and in later issues, you use a different name. Um,
Yeah.
and just little things like that. Just like changing people's names, I think is um, just a small way to kind of like, well, they don't have to know that it's about them, or they don't have to admit that it's about them or whatever. But it's hard as a writer because there is an inclination to just I want to tell everything. It is what it is.
Yeah, but I now I see people as people. My sister is in her 30s, married and expecting a kid. She probably wants some fucking privacy. Um, And then the people that I talk shit about, I don't want to use their real name because it's like fucking Beetlejuice, man. Like you're giving them power by acknowledging this person and their name. Like I don't want to say it because that's attention you're getting, even if it's negative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to be more careful and thoughtful about that shit. But my parents, fuck them. I'm just gonna tell the world, like,
Wow. There's a certain power to that, huh?
yes, there is.
It's a way to tell your version. Like when you're younger, it's hard to have a voice, and now that you're older, you have the voice.
Yeah, and they'll like say, "Well, I didn't say that, or that didn't happen." It's like, bullshit. I've got the trauma.
What do you get out of telling that story?
I empty my head. So I get stuck in memory loops. I have a pretty sharp memory where they play like movies, and sometimes it'll be a bad memory and I'll just fucking relive it like in my head over and over and over again. But if I write it down, it stops and I don't fucking think about it anymore. And it's just a release of all these shitty things that happened when I write about the bad stuff. But like the good stuff too, like to get that memory out on paper, it's now I got room for more. Now I'm gonna learn how to play piano because I got more room in my brain. As soon as you write it down, I could forget it. So
Yeah. You did 14 issues of Milk Milk Lemonade,
yeah.
and a lot of good stories, exciting stories, sad stories, drinking, having wild nights, things like that. And then you get hired as at a restaurant, and you start a whole new series.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to write about my personal life anymore. I wanted to write about my weird job. I started as a server and a counter girl, and then I realized I hated waiting tables and I wasn't any good at it. So I became a line cook there. I was taught how to cook, and customers are strange. They're very strange animals, whether they're well behaved or just absolutely childish little brats. That I had to write about it. I had to document all of it. I had been talking with a punk girl that I worked with at this one specific restaurant, and we're like, yeah, we should totally write a zine about the weirdos that come in here. And I took one of the checkbooks that
Yeah.
you write the orders in and just started making notes. And yeah,
It's
it's
the weirdo du jour.
all diner shit.
It's the weirdo of the day. You have like the other two series have a lot of working class mentality, but this is like it's working class as you're working. And you do a really
Yeah.
great job of not really like judging the weirdos. You're just observe like you feel it feels very observant.
Well, I mean, they're people too, and maybe they had a shitty day and came in and took it out on the counter girl at a restaurant. I've been the fucking weirdo at diners too, like come in hungover or piss ass drunk in the middle of the night and you need like a patty melt to perk you up and you say some stupid shit and the staff are either repulsed or entertained by it, and part of the restaurant life. Food
Yeah.
service is a very strange beast to tame.
This is through and through a work zine, and I love work
Yeah,
zines. And I did a zine for a long time called Last Night at the Casino.
which
And
was so fucking good.
thank you. And a lot of people who don't gamble loved the zine where they would just be like, I had no idea it was like that. And I, for me, it's just my day-to-day life. And same thing for you. It's your day-to-day life. And it's kind of fun to get that peek behind the curtain of like, because all of us at some point have gone to a diner and ordered coffee and probably stayed at Denny's too long, drinking one cup after another. But like, what's it like for the people that are getting paid to be there for 8 hours? And it's nice that you give like that, it's in some ways it's just like a run of the mill, this is a day-to-day thing. But for us that don't work in the business, it's like really fascinating.
Not everybody feels that way. I've gone to some zine conventions and tried to like, you know, level the playing field, like, oh yeah, you know how it is. Sometimes you just gotta work that shitty job, flipping burgers or washing dishes. And some people would like the nose would go up and they're like, well, I'm sure it was a very special time for you. All right, well, buy it or don't buy it, read it, don't read it.
Fuck them. Fuck them. It's like
Right?
in your other podcast, you had said that you have an issue of Milk Lemonade that where you talk about like going to Texas and having this adventure and like a road.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
remember
gee.
in the podcast you said that you felt like you really came into your voice. Um,
Yeah. Milk Lemonade 11, Merry Maladies.
yeah,
I took a very bizarre road trip with my roommate at the time. He was trying to reconnect with his daughter and was going to be staying with his ex-girlfriend and her partner and asked me to like go with him, kind of be on his side. And I didn't have a job at the time and I had never been to Texas. So we went, and there was a lot of shenanigans and debauchery in punk houses in Austin and Houston. And I wrote about it like immediately after coming back to Chicago. I almost didn't come back. I loved Austin so much. Um, but I wrote about it immediately, and I was living on the couch of a punk house with a guy from Texas who lived there, who was going to go back, and he introduced me to Hunter S. Thompson, Beyond Fear and Loathing, and a lot of other writers that I hadn't picked up books before. Like I think that was the first time I ever picked up a Kurt Vonnegut book as well. And the writing style had such an impact on me that um, the zine came out real thick. It's pretty goddamn wordy. It's almost like a book or a little novella. And yeah, I started, I don't know, just crafting the voice that I wanted to have, this
yeah.
sort of noir but psychedelic narration of
Well, a lot of your early
humanity.
stuff has, it's a lot of short stories and there's a lot of drawings and stuff. And then little by little, as you've gotten older, it's become more text heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I doodle, but it's for me. It's not, I have a sketchbook and it's like a private thing. It's for me. I like to draw for myself.
Yeah.
Um, Not so much. I mean, maybe I'll put some drawings in the future in another zine or a book or something, but the written word, it's writing is like my passion right now.
Well,
So,
that particular issue of Milk Lemonade doesn't have as many drawings and graphic. Like some of them, some of your issues are almost all drawings and have a lot of sketches. And
yeah.
it's kind of interesting because I feel like each zine is a good zine. But that particular issue and then Weirdo du Jour, it's more than a good zine, it's just good writing. Like it's the writing is really good.
Yeah, I started focusing more on that. I mean, drawing was my first love, but and we didn't break up, but we've grown apart a little bit. I'm trying
Yeah.
to get, back in there with her, but
But not even just
writing,
the drawing versus the writing, because all of them have writing, and this is just an observation and not a critique. But these all feel very off the cuff, and there's no editing, and it's just out on the page, and there it is. And like that issue of Milk Lemonade, and then Weirdo du Jour feels like, oh, you're starting to kind of like take yourself more seriously as a writer. You're going back and spell checking,
oh
and
yeah.
you're trying to like craft a story, beginning, middle, end.
Yeah, I want my shit to be taken seriously. I've learned people don't fucking care. So if you want them to care, you got to have something that looks good and reads good.
Yeah,
And I want attention on my writing, not just like, oh, here's this fun like eye candy of not even Photoshop. It's all cut and paste, like goofy graphics and drawings and doodles with words, like handwritten swirled around it. I mean, that's
right.
great to look at, but it's hard to fucking read. Let's make it easy for people to read.
They're fun and they're good zines, but they're kind of you read it and you're done. And some of the stuff you've been doing in the last 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years, it's more you're gonna keep it because you want to go back and reread it because it's gonna be good later on too, and it's just higher quality and it's good. It's you've really grown a lot as a writer in the last few years.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do an actual book, self-publish a book within the next year.
We're gonna get to that in a second because I want to hear
Okay.
more about that. Um,
Okay.
Weirdo du jour, and then Weirdo du jour part two, which I only want to mention because it's an awkward size. It's like maybe the
Oh
worst
yeah.
format of zine because they're
I
such a
know,
pain.
it's
You
horrible.
can't mail them. They don't sit on your shelf. I've done ones like this and then regretted it, but it's actually fun. And it comes with 3D glasses. And there's a lot of submissions of stories of your coworkers and things like that. But it's cool and it's fun and I like it. And also, I'll just throw in real quick the cathodes. These are
Oh
all
yeah.
horror and scary and sci-fi, which started as a blog, and then you transferred it into a zine. And these are all really good. The one I really want to talk about, though, we're gonna kind of finish up and wrap up with talking about Ornery Cuss. Um,
Okay.
and did this come out in 2023?
Yeah, I was 23. This came out.
When I read this, I just immediately it was my favorite zine of the year, and I said, "This is the zine of the year. You need to get this, everybody. This is so good." And I reread it yesterday and today, and I completely stand by that. I think the writing is so good, and I think all the stuff that you've been like, working on and building up to, this reads like a short novel. It feels like a short novel. It has some running themes. It has, I don't know, it builds up and has highs and lows, and it's a series of short stories, but they all connect. Um, and I would like to hear you talk a little bit about what prompted you to put this together and what the process was like putting it together.
So God, I don't know how long it was since I had put out a zine. Maybe like 7 years. And I needed to do something. Post COVID, I was very isolated for a long time, and I was grieving a divorce, trying to find myself again. The world had changed, so I was like grieving little pleasures that I didn't think I'd have access to anymore. We were all in lockdown, so I just started like writing stories, processing shit. And in 23, I'm like, well, all right, it's you got to shit or get off the pot. Like you're writing all this stuff, you got to put out a zine. So I tried to I'd mentioned before, do some like stereotypical zine stuff, like let me throw in a fun story about how I met Mojo Nixon because that's pretty classic zine story, and then like a breakup story, which was uh, talking about my divorce that I went through. A friend of mine had been killed about the same time I split up from my husband at the time, so I had to throw that in there because that was part of the fucking misery. My stepmother, who was an abusive twat, died from drug abuse, and it was very mixed emotions, relief, and then utter sadness at the same time, and then guilt that being, free of this horrible person in your life. I had to like write all that shit out, and it was kind of nice because it was sort of like eulogizing her too. Like there were a lot of great things about her before the drugs turned her into a monster. So like had to throw that story in there. It's real complicated.
It's a lot because
Uh,
it's a lot of different stories and they're
yeah.
not directly connected, but they're still running themes. Like even having the Mojo Nixon story in there, which is, a fun, silly thing. Um, Mojo Nixon talks about drinking all the time, and he's like you said, he's part of your holy trinity, and he's how you get through and survive. Like listening to music like that helps survive and get through all the drug abuse and hard times and arrests and things like that. So even that light, silly story still goes along with the overall theme of the zine.
There's a person that I used to write about quite a bit in all of my zines, and I I had to write something about them again. So I threw in like a mean little letter at the very end of the zine. Fuck you. Maybe it's about you, maybe it's not, you're so vain. You probably think the zine is about you. Um, yeah, there's a weird, I don't even know if I want to bring this up. There's a weird crush story in there that it's just some shit that was fucking me up about a person that I was very fond of for several years, and we didn't talk. And then in spring, I ran into them after years of not talking, and we reconnected. And And they read the zine, and I was very embarrassed and just mortified.
Did
But
they know it
that
was
was
about
sweet.
them? Like
Yeah,
immediately or
yeah, they had some. Yeah, it was fine. It's worked out great. They're actually my sweetheart now. So
wow.
yeah,
Do you think that would
uh,
have happened if you hadn't written the story in the zine?
it you know it. I think it just opened up a different facet of our miscommunication, and I think it happened because we both went to the same shitty movie.
Wow, pop culture coming back.
Yeah, how about that David Cronenberg, man?
If you don't like the same movies as me, I don't know if we can be friends.
No, it's fine. We can just like the same movies and different movies.
There is sometimes when you have a connection on like that weird underground art. You know what I mean? There's something nice
Yes.
when you know the same weird bands and the same weird movies.
Yes, exactly. And if you're a film dork and you just decide to go to a matinee to avoid the crowds, and you never know who you're going to run into in front of the theater.
That's really funny. I'm really excited to read that zine when it comes out. Um, I wanna mention one thing in Honor Cuss. One thing rereading it today, one thing I thought that was really interesting. The opening story is talking about you being a young teenager in Iowa, young person, and you're hanging out with a crowd that's a lot older than you. And there's drug use, and there's buying and selling, and there's, hey, can you take this package to so and so?
Oh yeah.
And it starts off maybe from your point of view, maybe kind of innocent. From the much older person, probably not innocent. Um, this adult that's hanging out with teenagers and probably shouldn't be. But you're young and it's fun and it's exciting. And at some point you stop hanging out, right? Later on in the zine, you tell a story where you're now the adult and you're living in Chicago and you're trying to like buy some weed and you're trying to get hooked up. And the person that comes to sell you the weed is a teenager. And I just
Yeah.
thought, I don't know how I don't know if these are just two stories you told or if you intentionally, to me, it was really interesting because you're the young person in the adult world. And then later in the zine, you're the adult where there's a different young person who's in that world.
Yeah. And they're bringing along their newborn child, so like they've got a minor with them.
Right.
And the first story, I was running packages over state lines with my sister in my car, who was a minor at the time, not understanding how serious of a situation it was. And yeah, I had just moved back to Chicago when that happened. And and this kid like showed up with a stroller to sell me weed, and I just bought all of it. I'm like, just give me all the drugs. Just give me all the drugs, because you shouldn't be out here on the street with your fucking newborn in a stroller selling drugs. Um, and he's asking me to buy him alcohol because he can't go into the liquor store. And oh, sorry, man, I can't
He's
do
old
it.
enough to sell drugs, but he's not old enough to buy alcohol.
Yeah.
That's
And
wild.
as soon as that happened, like this is going in a fucking this this is just surreal. This has got to go in a fucking Z.
Was there some part of you that wanted to steer him out of that life, or is there no way to steer him, or by buying drugs from him, you're helping him support his child?
I mean, well, that's why I bought all of his drugs. I'm like, here, you clearly need this money. You don't need to. This is before marijuana was legal in Chicago. It was like a few months later they legalized it, but still, like, it's a very illegal thing that he was doing. And he just to tell him, I mean, I'm a gray-haired white lady. This kid is not gonna fucking listen to me if I
Right.
told him, you gotta get your life together. So like, just let me buy all your weed, man. Here, take this money, give me the drugs. Like, spend time with your kid. Go be a dad. Go do your homework, honey. Go to school.
It's strange how those cycles change and shift and continue, and there's always a teenager out there selling drugs.
Yes, yes. Do what you gotta do to get your bag, but goddamn, be safe. Don't get killed over a sack of weed, kids.
Right? Anyone that hasn't read this, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Um, your two most recent zines, I don't have copies of because you mailed me a bunch of copies for my
Oh,
distro, and I sold them all and didn't even keep one for myself.
oh,
One of them is called We Should Close, and it's another work zine. There you go. Show them
yeah,
how
yeah.
you cut out the cover.
So it's like a 45 record. This is like the sleeve.
Look at
Is
that. How
that?
much work is it to cut those circles out?
You know what? It went faster than I thought it would.
Um,
It wasn't too bad.
can you tell me, is this an issue of Weirdo du jour or no?
Um, Technically no. So like my website is called Weirdo du Jour, and I like sometimes refer to myself as Weirdo du Jour Press
Okay,
as well. So I like put, 45 RPM WDJ 25.
right.
And so it's technically not, but I guess it falls in the same vein because it is a work zine. I'm now working in retail at a record store, and that's what the zine is all about.
And at the record store, you also have the weirdo of the day. You also have a weirdo du
Yes.
jour every day.
They're strange, but it's a different kind of strange.
Right.
Um,
And once again,
Collectors,
I've gone
yeah.
to so many record stores, and it's fun to be like, oh, I wonder if I was ever that annoying guy in the record store because like I don't know how people think of me when I'm in a, but we've all gone record shopping, and it's interesting to see what it's like to work in a record store.
It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of goofing off, and a lot of my coworkers complain a lot about the customers, and most of the time I'm thinking like, guys, this isn't that bad. It's not like he's on drugs, stealing shit. These
Right,
these are just very eccentric collectors with a lot of money to spend on a luxury item.
right,
They're addicted to shopping. It's not that fucking serious.
right. It's a good zine and it's a fun zine. Um, your other new one, what's it called when dreams come?
Make all our dreams come
There you
true.
go, make all your dreams come true. Uh, tell me about the cover.
So it's just like some clip art of downtown Milwaukee.
Okay.
The title is taken from the lyrics of the Laverne and Shirley theme song because that was set in Milwaukee.
Ah,
Um,
yeah, that's right.
I drew like a burning Gothic church because that gets referenced in the little mini zine. I was supposed to be working on the record store zine, and I do this thing where I will distract myself from a project by doing another project. Oh, I
I,
should finish that painting, but maybe I'll quilt instead.
right, right.
So I decided, well, let me just write out this little zine, take a break from the record store zine and do make all our dreams come true. Uh, it's not a happy zine. It's supposed to be kind of funny. I wrote it very like hurried, like I'm sitting in a bar or I'm at a party and I'm trying to tell you like all this fucked up shit that happened to me when I lived in Milwaukee for 3 years while my marriage was falling apart. And let me tell you the story about this one time this thing happened in Milwaukee. So when people ask me what's Milwaukee like, it's like this story. But I also got to tell you about the time this good thing in Milwaukee happened. So yeah, it's very rushed stream of consciousness too written, but people seem to like this a
I,
lot better than the record store scene.
well, the record store zine is really, really fun, but that zine is like so much more real. It's just relationships, and it's a lot of, a lot of times when there's a couple having relationship issues, they hold hands and they smile at the party, and they don't want, for whatever reason, a lot of time, at least for me, when I've had relationship problems, you're embarrassed. You don't want to tell people that things are going poorly. You want people to think that you're happily married. You and I have had times where we hung out a lot and times where we didn't talk for like years and like we're
Yeah.
still good friends. But like I didn't know all this stuff was going on with you and I was just like, what? Like why didn't you tell me? I would have come beat that fucker up. Like some of the stuff in that zine, I was like physically angry, like, oh my God, what the fucking asshole. I was like, but once again, you are like, well, that's life, what the fuck can I do? I got divorced, like he was a fucking asshole and it's so real and raw and it's telling things that most people would be embarrassed to talk about.
Well, it's easy to like laugh about it now because I'm so far removed from it. I mean, this was like 2016 to 2019. We moved back to Chicago and split up right before COVID happened.
Yeah.
So, I had a lot of time to mull over shit, and this just was stuck in my head over the summer, and I had to get it out, and yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all there.
It's a good companion piece to this because there's a story about him in here, and then that entire zine is about that relationship.
Yeah, it like expands on it. It was totally unintentional.
Yeah.
Um, but they come together later in a project that I'm starting to work on now.
Well, we are wrapping up this podcast. Would you like to talk about the future and projects that you are working on?
You have something to share with everyone, amazing Larry? Um, yeah, so I was working on a story documenting a relationship earlier in spring, and then it sort of fell off. Shit took a turn for the worse, and I just need like time to distance myself for that and before I write about it. But I still want to write a fucking book. So I'm like, well, goddamn, I love the title Henri Cuss so much. Like I got called that so much as a kid. I'm quite a bit of an Henri shit too these days. Um, I want to write a book that's exactly like Henri Cuss. It's just a collection of short stories, darker, funnier, longer, and I will take a couple stories out of my zine and expand on them and edit them because they need some polishing. And this guy's gonna get in there too. And then some shit from Weirdo du Jour is gonna like make the cut too, expanded on. And I don't know how long it's gonna be. There's a lot that I want to do, but I'm getting help editing and formatting, and I'm going to be walked through the process of how do you print your own book, and I'm so fucking stoked about it. I like in the past week, my brain has just been in that like I'm full, you need to empty me. So I come home from work and I like spend 30 minutes to half an hour typing shit out. It's gonna happen, man. It's that season. It's writing season.
I love that time of year in Chicago. I live in New Mexico now, and the weather's like fucking perfect, and we get like 2 days of snow a year, and everyone out here is so soft, and they just complain like it's 50 right now. It's like 50 degrees, and they're like, "Oh my God, I think I have to start wearing a coat. It's so cold." And like the winters in Chicago suck, but I miss it because it sucks and it forces you to like deal with it. It forces you to get tough. And a lot of times it forces people inside and a lot of amazing creativity happens when you're like, I don't feel like going to the party. I'm gonna do a painting. I'm gonna write a song. I'm gonna do whatever. And
Heck yeah.
a lot of good writing happens in Chicago because of the shitty weather and the hard life.
Man, I miss the winters here too. I've been living here and we've had some mild ass winters, not hardly enough snow or deep freezes. So I'm hoping this is a bad one because I'm fucking miss being cold and trudging around miserable, swearing under your breath, fucking snow, fucking winter. I miss it. I miss that shit so much.
Yeah, you can write so many good zines about the bad weather.
Fuck yeah.
Um, all right. Well, I am very excited for your new book and your new projects coming out. I'm excited to be doing this video with you, and I hope some people who have maybe never heard of you can dive into some of your stuff, whatever you have available. I have a feeling some of these oldies but goodies are no longer available, which is
Like all of them.
yeah, which is maybe for the best. It's okay to let some of that stuff go. But
Yeah.
all of this built up to what you are now, and your new stuff is your best stuff, and I completely mean that. And it only makes me more and more excited for what you're gonna work on next.
Fuck yeah. This has been awesome. Like it's been a nice little trip down memory lane. I'm like pulling out these zines, like, oh my God, are we gonna talk about that? Fuck.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, and
Thank you.
keep us posted. For everyone watching the video, click on the links that we're going to have posted with this video. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Copy and destroy. Copy and destroy.